days ago, GMT released um, Saratoga as a digital version. This is one of the games in their Great Battles of the American Revolution series. This is a series I've never really gotten into on in a physical copy in the board game version, but given that I had a chance to sort of learn to play it on the computer version, I wanted to dive right in. I've played a couple of games of the initial smaller scenario, which is kind of what we're going to do here. I'm going to take the other side. I played the first scenario, which is Freeman's Farm, as the British initially, mostly because it's here on the left, so it was the first thing I clicked. So I'm going to play it as the Americans here and kind of show you how this works and give you a little familiarity with the system, hopefully. I'm still kind of basically learning some of the nuances of it, but at base, it's an incredibly simple system. A really kind of nice, elegant system with a really cool combat system, which is I like and is unique. So Freeman's farm scenario begins on turn 8, ends on turn 11. The player order and initiative is set on turns 8 and 11. Army morale levels are set. British begin with one momentum chit. Will kind of that a momentum chit can be used either to influence the initiative roll, or it can be used to re-roll a combat result that you don't like. There's some special rules. Most of them sort of involve the British. They have a bunch of units that are sort of locked in place, and actually, I guess that isn't in here, but so there's some movement restrictions to sort of make the map smaller. So basically, victory is based on controlling hex 1111 and 0616. We'll show you what those are, and then there's also sort of points that you get for eliminating units and things like that. So we're going to play as the Americans. This is some game interface reminders. I wish there was a way to tell this to go away and don't come back. So the two kind of control hexes are this one right here. This is 0616, and this one is here. This is 1111. So those are the two hexes that give you sort of victory points. You can see here scores currently 0. Momentum is British have 1, I have none. So Americans go first, and I have to place Benedict Arnold with one of these two. I don't think it matters a ton which one I sort of place him with. So we'll place him there. So no, this is where they talk about the reinforcements. There's the British units in these, I'll show you in a second, these hexes. They have to remain in place until I move adjacent to them with a combat unit. That's all of these units. So some of them will release, but most of them are going to stay locked in place, generally speaking. So to move, let's see, I'm going to start. This is a rifle unit, I will note. You can see it has an R on it. These guys are able to fire kind of in their own phase, in this rifle fire phase. One of the cool things is that if they fire on a space with a leader, they have a small percentage chance of being able to kill that leader, which I think is pretty cool. Okay, so we're going to move Morgan to there because I'm going to have him take a shot at Burgoyne. We'll take this guy and move him into that same hex. I want to take a look. He's got 5 strength points here. And one of the really key concepts in the game that you have to get used to is that if you're adjacent to something, you have to attack it. There's one exception to that, which maybe will come up. But so when you move people adjacent to things, you're kind of locked into attacking them. So I'm going to move him to there. I'm going to move Benedict Arnold with him. And let's see. Where can this guy get to? Actually, I'm going to undo that. Give me just a second. I'm going to undo all of that. Talk about why in a second. So I actually want to move this Dearborn unit to there. And here's what I was kind of talking about. I don't want to end up, if possible, with a unit next to this because that unit is going to be a little bit. I would have to attack it if I ended up with somebody adjacent to it. As it is, I'm only going to have to attack those two. So we're going to have that guy move through there. That'll give me control of that. And then we'll move him to here. And I believe that that is all of my units on the map. So I'm going to click done, and that's going to be the end of my movement phase there. I will confirm that. I don't have disrupted or shattered units. So British can conduct artillery fire. That was with this guy. They were conducting artillery fire, and they missed. I can show the table here. So you can see in order to get a hit, they have 1 strength point firing, and they're adjacent. They would have needed greater than a 7 to hit. So not like a hugely high percentage chance of hitting. Now I can declare rifle attacks. So I've got one guy who can fire, and that's this guy. And I'm going to have him fire at this unit. I couldn't choose the leader specifically, so I had to cycle to choose that. And I'm going to choose fire. Now, sometimes units, you can see this guy here. Some of these rifle units, they get like a first fire bonus. So the first time they fire, they're most effective. In this scenario, this guy doesn't. I presume that's because previously in this scenario, he would have done that. So now we're going to resolve that rifle shot. So that's a miss, unfortunately. And that's kind of similar to, that's probably the same table as artillery. So now I have to declare my close combat. So I have to attack both of these hexes. So every one of your units next to a unit has to attack, and every unit that's you're next to has to be attacked. So what I've got here is I've got essentially 4 strength points here and 4 strength points here that I've got to attack. So let's see, 3. So I can get 8 here. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to go attack here. With all those. And then we'll declare that attack. Let's talk about diversions now. So diversions is a thing you can use. You can declare 1 diversion hex per turn. And when you do that, in a situation like this, like I could declare, let's actually say that there was a unit here in this hex, this 0815 hex. I could declare that a diversion hex, which means that I don't have to attack it. But if there's a combat with units that are adjacent to that hex, they get like a column shift. So it's a way of like not attacking the entire line if you don't want to. So in this case, I'm just going to declare that attack. And then I'm going to have this guy attack here. That's not going to be a particularly great attack, but we're going to do it anyway. Mostly because I don't have any choice. So so that's it. So now you can see no unassigned attacker units remain, no defenders left to attack. So I'm done. I've done everything I need to do. So now we're going to resolve this. And one of the first things you do to resolve things is you choose who your lead unit is. And you can see these units have like a +1 here. Some of them like don't. They've got some with a 0. There's even a couple in here with a -1. Their lead unit contributes that to the combat. Now, mind you, if the lead unit is the one that contains your leader, then your leader's at risk of, if your lead unit is with your leader's at risk of being killed. So we're going to pick this one, so we get a +1. He picked this one. So we can, now we've got -1. DRM is -2 before tactics. That's not good for me. That probably has to do with terrain. We'll kind of look at it in a second. But now I choose a tactic. And you can see tactics have different kind of like results depending on what they're up against. Now, I know that he doesn't have a leader stacked with him. At least I don't. No, he does have a leader stacked with him. Okay, so he can do any of these he can do any of these tactics. So I have to be very careful what I want to do here. And I think I'm going to do this because basically that means I've got a lot of bonuses, but actually that's probably not great. I think I'm going to skirmish. I'm a little bit susceptible to a frontal assault or him standing fast, but otherwise it works okay. So I'm going to choose skirmish. We'll see in a second what he chooses. He chose attack and echelon. So I got +1 from the tactics card. I got +1 from my lead unit morale. I got -1 from his morale because he has a +1. I got -1 from his leader, and then a defender versus attacking rifle unit, -1. So the net attack DRM is -1. So that is, I am disrupted and he gets no result. So you can kind of see disrupted, no result. So not a great result for me to start with. So now I've got to retreat this unit. My lead unit has to retreat. So he's going to retreat 3 to there. And then I'm going to roll to see if this guy passes a morale check. So his morale is 1. I got a +1. I got to have a 5 or higher to pass that morale check. And he does. So that means he can just stay there. So now let's resolve this one, which will hopefully be a little bit better. So we're going to choose this guy who's going to give me a +2. So I got +3 before tactics. So this is much, much, much better. I believe I have a leader, so I can basically choose any of these. And so I think what I'm going to try to do is turn his flank. He can only choose these ones on the top. So I'll be a little bit vulnerable if he chooses to skirmish, but otherwise I could end up with a pretty good result. So we're going to try to turn his flank. And to turn flank, you not only need a leader present, but you also need an open hex. So 11-17 there is an open hex. So let's see what he chose. He chose to commit his reserve. So apparently he did have a leader, but that leader next to him helps him. So that gave him a -1, but I still have a +2. But I rolled really poorly, so both of us are pinned. So that's unfortunate. That could have actually been a really good result for me. Turned out not to be a very good result. So now he's going to end up moving. So he's moving some artillery up into play. Bringing Phillips over. Didn't do a lot of moving. So now I can do artillery fire, but I don't think I have any artillery units on the board. I don't. Distinct lack of artillery. So I can rifle attack. So once again, we'll have this guy. Maybe I can't fire on this guy because I fired on him already once this turn. I don't know why the tab isn't working to choose those things. So we're going to fire there. Hope we get a good result. Maybe we can kill Burgoyne. We didn't. So we got an army morale loss as a result of that. So that takes his army morale. You can see the morale down here in the bottom right. All right, so now he's attacking these hexes. He's got a 2-to-1 attack. This is not going to be a great result for me. He's got +2 before tactics. I think I'm going to try to get to skedaddle. There's a good chance it won't work, but we're going to try it anyway. So there's no combat. So he probably chose skirmish. So that's going to allow me to just retreat that unit in the face of an attack. And he advances into that hex. So now this one is this. So we'll choose that unit again to be our lead unit. Okay. So he's got a 1-to-2 and he's got -3. So the number one thing I want to do is make sure we have combat here. So if I attack an echelon, there's nothing that will lead to no combat. So that is precisely what we're going to do. So we ended up with only a -2, but that ended up disrupting him, which was not a terrible result. So that unit is going to have to fall back. Okay, so I get some reinforcements this turn. Now, if I can get the initiative here, and I don't, I could have I could have attacked that artillery unit, which would have been fairly good. But I did not. All right, so he failed. That guy failed his morale check. I still don't have any artillery, I don't think. I've got some. Oh, my reinforcements haven't been placed yet. Okay. I don't know if this guy can fire from this far away. Oh, artillery defensive fire. Sorry, done. Americans, no rifle attacks are possible. So he's going to just be attacking here. So we'll again choose our best guy. And once again, and in this case, let's see, I've got 0 before tactics. So this is kind of an even combat. I don't want to take a bunch of losses here. I'm just going to skirmish. We're just going to skirmish. He's attacking an echelon, and that's just going to cause him to retreat. So that's not a terrible result. So the lead unit retreats. I think he retreated the leader with him, and he passed his morale check. So now we get some reinforcements. So placing those reinforcements freed up these 3 units here. So he now has a few additional units in the game. So right now, I am winning. So I have to think about what I want to do. And the 2 things I'm thinking about is this unit is kind of like open for attack. I could cobble together an attack on this unit pretty overwhelmingly and maybe get a result. Or I could kind of fall back to here and kind of hope that defensive terrain would help me out here. Let's see, did it tell you close combat table, terrain effects chart? So forest doesn't really give an effect in combat. But what I could do is I could fall back behind this creek, which would start to give me some. So it's like, do I want to? So I think I'm going to start falling back to defend because he's got a bunch of units coming and I can't get to the creek on this first turn. But this will allow me to get to the creek on like the second turn. So what I want to do is I'm going to set up a line of defense here and kind of try to defend from there. Because I've got my 1 victory point. He's going to eventually have his 1 victory point. And then it becomes a question of who loses more in combat, essentially. So I'm going to put... Oops. That's it. Oh, he could actually move. He could actually get himself... Oh. Hang on. I clicking the wrong buttons over and over and over again. How far can Arnold get? Okay. Undo. So I want to move this guy. Okay, so for some reason he couldn't get there. All right, so we're just going to move him to there. He can move 1 more, it's telling me. Probably to one of those hexes. I'm going to stop him there. Move the rifles in with him. We'll add Arnold to that. This is not a particularly great unit. Leave him there. Get that guy up to there. Helping to protect him. That guy to there. So we're going to fall back into kind of a defensive position and sort of dare the British to come after us. Now, I don't think I got anybody left to move. I have one unit capable. Oh, I probably have one of these guys still had some movement points left, probably. Actually, oh, this guy. One second. Okay, what I was checking is what it would take to rally this guy from his disrupted state. And essentially, he needs to not end up in a zone of control. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually move him back there. That way, I think he won't end up in a zone of control and he'll be able to rally. And I think he's within command range of... Okay, so he passed. So now he's not disrupted anymore. Okay, well, that's good. I guess I could have... I didn't need to move him back to do that. But that way, if I moved him back, at least that way, if he was still in that zone of control next turn, it would have... I would have been able to do it then. Okay. So I have no possible rifle attacks. There's no close combat, or there's no combat necessary. So turn 10. So I have the initiative. Now, this is not particularly the best thing ever because I'm not going to be able to make a ton of use of this. But the main thing that we're going to try to do is get ourselves behind this creek. So that guy is going to move. Let's see. All right. I'm going to move this guy to there. That guy to there. That guy to there. Can he make it there? He can, okay. Yeah, I don't think I can move him there because that would exceed stacking limits. Yeah, okay, so hopefully those guys can make it to that hex. So we can move this guy to there. No, I do that too often. All right, I think that's everybody moved. I don't have any disrupted or shattered units, no rifle attacks, no close combat. I have no attacks, So now we will see if the British want to throw themselves against my line. Now this guy might be able to turn that side. I'd love to be able to get some units in that hex to kind of prevent him from getting over there, but it looks like he's not going to be able to make it. So it looks like he hasn't moved through this hex, which is kind of a mistake on his part, but his disrupted unit over there rallied. I don't have any artillery. Why do you keep asking me? I have no rifle attacks. I knew that. All right, so this is the last turn. So let's just continue to sort of set up our defensive line. So move that guy to there. That guy to there. That guy to there. Guy will join him. And we'll just extend the line in this direction. Put him there. We'll get that guy to there. So we now have like a really nice defensive line behind a creek, which is going to give me a defensive bonus. And we'll see if the British want to come at me. No rifle attacks. No close combat. Kind of a boring game here, the way I'm playing this. I apologize. It's been more interesting when I played it as the British, but I think it's probably a little bit incumbent on the British to attack. They have more units. Now he's not being, I would say, particularly smart here because he's got a lot of attacks he's going to have to make. So I don't have any artillery. Fine. I have no rifle attacks possible. So he's firing. So this is his first fire. So I think he gets a +1 to that. So he got 2 misses because I was in the forest. That was this guy right there. So now he's got a 1 to 3 attack. Because he basically has to attack both of these. Now, he probably would have been better off, truthfully, if he had... He might have been better off if he had declared a diversion. But this is where probably the computer opponent isn't perhaps that smart. So we'll set the 10th Massachusetts, just because it has a different colored blue. I assume that's regulars versus militia, but I don't know. He will be my unit, and we're just going to stand fast. Fire at him across a stream and hope to get a good result. He has a -3, so he loses a step. Now, he could use his momentum to re-roll that. He hasn't used it yet. But he didn't. The British have won a marginal victory by having a higher score. How did he have a higher score? Freeman's farm control. Wonder what happened to my victory point for this hex. I had that victory point. Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Did I need to leave a guy in there? Well, anyway, I lost a marginal victory by playing really boring. Okay, maybe I need to attack up to here is what I need to do. I probably need to look at the... I probably need to look at those. I thought I was getting 1 victory point for this hex right here. I thought that's what it said. 1111. And I had moved through it, so I thought I had control of it. I only got half a victory point for that step loss. He got a victory point for that. Anyway, there you go. I may turn this around and play this as the British, because certainly I think with the British you'll get more of a flavor for what it's like, because there's a lot more attacking. I chose to play this really defensively because I thought I was winning, and probably I think that's smart as the Americans, because you're a little bit sort of behind in terms of artillery. But anyway, that is Saratoga, digital version from GMT Games. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, it'd be great if you could leave comments. That helps YouTube know that somebody's out there watching. And then if you could subscribe and hit the notification bell, that would also be great. That helps you know when we produce new content. But with that, I will say goodbye, and we'll see you next time on Agility Snips Gaming Table.